Welcome to what would ordinarily be a Bluesy Tuesday episode, but I've had a little bit of extra free time. I'm sure you can imagine why. And because Legendary Licks episode 4 was pretty popular, I promised I'd put out a Black Dog tutorial. I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit of a whopper, but I cover everything in the tune, and it's a tasty whopper. Because it's such a whopper, I reckon we just get straight into it. Come on, let's go. This is London, so if you can hear my neighbours playing the YMCA through the ceiling down this mic, I can only apologise. If you would like to see me upgrade my studio and move to somewhere more remote and quiet, please consider checking out my Patreon, linked in the top right corner of your screen. So we start on the 7th fret of the A string. Move up to the 5 on the D with the index finger, and then chromatically go to the 7. Chromatically means we're just going to move 5, 6, 7 without skipping any of the frets out. After that, drop back down to the 7 on the A, and then skip over to the 5 on the G. I like to dig in there, give it a little bit of a micro bend, but that's up to you. Go back to the 7 on the D with the 3rd finger. Then hit the 7 on the G with the 3rd finger. 5 on the B. And then we've got a hammer on pull off, 5 to 7 on the G. After that, we're going to hit the 7 on the D twice. 5 on the G. Again, I give that a little push. Back to the 7 on the D. From there, I'm going to hit the 5 on the D with the index finger. 7 on the D with the 3rd finger. I hit that twice. And then I'm making my way down. Making my way downtown. Not played that in years. That was a request about 10 years ago. If you want to learn some Vanessa Carlton, let me know in the comments below. Drop a like. Right. Jimmy would not approve. After the 5, 7, 7 on the D, we're going to make our way down to the A string on fret 5, then the 7. Just singular this time, no double hits. Then down to the 3rd fret of the A, and we go 3, 5. Now, take your index finger and bar the 2nd fret of the D and the G, and then play it from the open A, A5 power chord. Now, a lot of people double hit this, and sort of try and whack that A on the 2nd one to give it that kind of warble that you hear on the record. Warble. However, if you hit that A power chord as normal and leave it ringing out, bring this 3rd finger to the 4th fret of the E string, which is the note G sharp, and we are going to play that whilst the power chord's ringing out and bend it up a semitone. We'll actually bend the string down, but obviously the pitch goes up. And when you match the pitch, obviously the notes will stop fighting against each other. And that's how you kind of get that warbling effect that you hear, rather than just going and letting it settle. That's cool, but That's how you get the sound on the record. This is going to be really easy to learn because it's very, very comparable to what we've just done. We slide into the 7th fret of the E this time, and then we've got the chromatic run going from the 5 on the A to the 7. So we've just brought everything down a string. And again, we're going to drop down to the 7 on the E, and then skip over to the 5 on the D this time, before coming back to the 7 on the A. Now, what we're going to do is repeat just that first part. Okay, and we do it 4 times, but on the 4th repeat, when we get to the 7th fret of the A, we just go back to the 5 and then go back to the 7. And that 7 that we end on is the starting note of the lick that we just learned, and it plays in full. And I'll just add that I'm going to really kind of dig in with the pick on the beat to sort of help try and keep you in time. Starting on the 3rd fret of the A string with the 2nd finger, cheeky little pull, because I'm cheeky, and then index finger across the D and the G on the 2nd fret, A5 power chord. You can go down, down, or down, up, however you feel. Then we take the 4th fret of the G and we have this bend up, down, and a pull off. Back to the 2nd fret. Hit the 4 again, and then the 2. If you want to do it loads of times in a row, that'd be good practice. So on the 3rd repeat, we've got the same pull, A power chord, but then we go to a C power chord, and then back to the A power chord. So the C power chord, 3rd fret, 3, 5, 5, A, D, G. You should know that. And then go back to the A power chord. So far, okay, the last time we're going to bend that 4 on the G up again, and then we pull off to the 2, but this time we're going to hit the 4 and the 2 on the D, and then the 3rd fret of the A again. And that brings us round full cycle. So it goes like this. End of that 2nd repeat, after the A power chord, we can grab that 4 again, pull it up a semitone. So you can play this section loads of different ways. I did a couple of different variations then in that example, so I'll show you how to do them. So we're going to start with that A power chord as we have been doing. I want you to do an upstroke and then take the second finger to the 3rd fret of the E and do a downstroke just on that note of G. Okay, after that we've got this up mute that I like to do, and I'm just draping my fingers over the strings here, lightly touching, not pressing down, and it just helps to completely kill all harmonic content, and we've just got muted strings. After that up mute, we're going to go back down to the A power chord and do a downstroke. It just gives it a little bit of swagger rather than just going like that. It's kind of helps to lock in the timing and keep your right hand grooving while there's nothing else to play. So after that power chord, I go back to the 3rd fret of the E and I just slide out. And as I get to like the 1st fret, I just use maybe my right hand to dampen at the bridge end. So it sounds like the notes just trailed off rather than just letting it land on like an F. You would not want to do that. Gives the illusion that it just went, oh, off, gone. Okay, so the second time, instead of playing that A after the mute, we can either play the 3rd fret of the A string, which is the note C, with the 2nd finger and give it a pull, or we can play a full power chord at the 3rd fret. However you want to play it. And then we go back to that A power chord. Or with the power chord. And then we've got one more that slides out. Last time we've got a D sus4, so that's open D, 2nd fret of the G, 3rd fret of the B, pinky on the 3rd fret of the E, and get that 2nd finger prepped on the 2nd fret of the E, because that's then going to come off and go to a D. You should be able to hear me bringing my right hand in there, giving you an indication of what the timing is. Syncopated. After you've done the right amount of repeats, it comes straight out of that D. It seems a little bit premature, but it's not. It's just landing, smacking with the drums. And you're just going to go to that A power chord. I'm just going to point out, I like to point things out, don't I? This is a Led Zeppelin tune, in case you didn't know. Jimmy Page is playing it. It's a massive rock tune, it's Black Dog. Don't be sitting there being all like afraid, timid. No, we're getting stuck in. So we're going to slide up to the 7th fret of the D with the pinky. Then we're going to go to the 4th fret of the G with the index finger. 5, 6. Chromatically, like we did before. Back to the 7. And then we're going to go up to the 4 on the B. And if you can, give that a semitone push. Back to the 6 on the G. Now we go to the 7th fret of the B with the 3rd finger, and then play the 8 with the pinky. 5 on the B, hammer on pull off with the 3rd finger to 7. And then we go back to the 6 on the G, hit it twice. It's following the same rhythm, obviously, it's just different notes. And if you've played the first bit, it should start to make sense. 4 on the B, push with the index, back to the 6 on the G. Then I go 4, 6, 6 on the G. Then I go 5, 7 on the D. And then I go 7, 9, 7 on the A. I mean, you could play that here if you wanted, which is 4, 6, 6, open, 2 on the G, and then 2, 4, 2 on the D. I just feel like moving across and up with the index finger makes a little bit more sense to me. Tonally though, maybe it did do that. For me, just that 2 on the G to the quick 2 on the D, a little bit clunky. I can play that easier. So that's all the riffs from the main part of the tune. Let's recap over them. There was a rogue index second finger there. Shows you sometimes you can be playing something that you play a certain way and then change it at the last minute. So the guitar solo is monstrous. So I've broken it down into about 3005 sections for you. The first one goes a little something like this. It's an open A. Have you got it? Good. The actual first section is going to go like this. So we start with an open A. Hammer onto the 3rd fret with the 3rd finger. And then slide to the 4. After that, we're going to go to the 2nd fret of the D. Index finger, and then 4th fret. Then we've got this back and forth from the G, 2nd fret, to the 4th fret of the D. You could hammer on there, but I like to pick because it just gives it a little bit more definition. After that, we're going to slide up to the 6th fret of the G, little major third in the key of A, and then we're going to go to the 5th fret of the high E, major third to root. You're going to do that 3 times. After the 3rd repeat, we have this. So we're going to take the 5th fret of the G, bend it up, whole step, index finger on the 3rd fret of the B, then we come back to the 5 on the G, 4th fret, 2nd fret, 4th fret of the D, and then I hammer on from the index finger to the 4th fret. The next part is exactly the same, but we've just got a slightly different lick at the end. So after you hammer onto the 4, we're just going to hit another 2, back to the A. So you could say that the first 2 opening cycles are like 2 identical repeats with 1 extra note the second time. So the next lick we've got is this. Slide into the 6th fret of the G, 2nd finger, index on the high E on the 5, hit that twice. Then we've got a whole tone bend from the 7th fret of the E up to the 9. You're going to let that down back to the 7 and then hit the 5. So then I've got the index finger flat on the 5 on the B and the E, and it just goes back and forth, B, E, B, and then we slide up to the 10. It's the same note as playing the 5 on the E, it's the note A, but because I can hear a slide into it, I figured we'd do it on the B, because we're making our way up to the 15th fret anyway. So you get that. Next lick, bit fiddly, but it goes like this. So then I go to the 13 on the B, and then the 15, and I hit that twice. Or you can hit it 3 times, depending on how you're vibing. And then we're going to bend that up, and then down, pull off to the 13. Down to the 14 on the G. Then after that, I bend the 15 on the B back up again. Let it down quickly. Go to the 13 and then I bend it back up. Then I hit the 13 on the B. Play the 14 on the G and then push that 13 gradually up. Now you've got this lick. So we start on the 14th fret of the G with the 2nd finger, 15th fret of the B with the 3rd finger going up, down, 13, and then back up. Bend that 15 up again and have the pinky ready on the 15 on the high E. And then come back down to the 13 on the B. And now we've got something that's comparable to the last lick. We're going to bend the 15 up, down, 13, go back to the 14 on the G, bend the 15 back up, and then the 13. Little triangle. It's one of those solos that when you practice it slow, because of all the kind of gradual bends that you'll do, you'll be like, oh my God, it sounds horrible. You get it up to speed, or you stick a backing track on even at 50 or 75%, and you'll be like, ah, okay. You can start to sort of get into the vibe of it. And even on the record, you know, when he comes way up here, where we're going to go next, he hits some of those bends like a little off, but it sounds like it's screaming, like it's wailing. That's the vibe. It's cool. Now we are way up here. So, 19th fret of the G bends up, whole step. 17th fret of the high E, index finger. You'll notice that I had my index finger barred over the 17 on the B and the E, because what happens next is we play the 19 again, and then we hit the 17, B, then E, for that kind of classic blues lick. Okay, the next thing, we're going to take the 20 on the B, bend that up a whole step. 20 on the high E with the pinky. Let that down, and then hit the 17 on the B. Next lick goes like this. So we start with the 19 on the G, 17 on the high E, then we go to 20 on the B. After that, we hit the 17 on the B, and then we go back to the 20 and we bend it up. Pre-bend release, back down to the 17. Then we take the 19 on the G and bend that up. Put the pinky on the 20 on the B. So the last bit up here, we have the 20 on the B going up a whole step. 20 on the E with the pinky. 20 on the B again. Release. And then the 17 on the B. Then we go back to a lick that we just did a second ago, which is the 15th fret of the B bent up, down, 13th fret, 14th fret of the G, and then the 15 back up, and 13 again. So now we move on to a lick we just covered in my Jimmy Page Legendary Licks video the other week. So I'll breeze over this. If you want it in slightly greater detail, then you can go and check out that video. But we come back down to the 7th fret of the G and we bend it up a whole step. Then we go to the 5 on the B and then the E, and we bar it flat. Then we take the pinky and we pull off from the 8 back to the 5 on the B string. And we're going to repeat that 6 times in a row. On the 6th repeat, when we get to that B string, we pull off the 8 to the 5 twice. And then we do the same on the G from the 7 to the 5. Nice and quick. After that, we hit the 7th fret of the D, roll the finger flat to the 7th fret of the G, and then hit the 5 on the G. Then we go 7, 5, 7 on the D. You can pull off there, or you can pick. After that, we go 7 on the D again, 5 on the G, and then 7 on the G, and we give it a cheeky bend up. Then we hit the 7 on the D, and then we're going to very quickly go down, up, down on the 7 on the G. After you've done that, bend that up a whole step, let it down, go to the 5 on the G, back to the 7 on the D, 5 on the G, 8 on the B. To To finish it off, we bend the 7 on the G up again, down, back to the 5, 7 on the D. Then we hammer on from 5 on the G, back to the 7. Another crazy lick on the way, goes like this. So we've got a lot of chromatics and repetition here. Index finger on the 5 on the D, to the 6, to the 7, chromatic. Down, up, down is a good way to pick it. Make your way up to the 5th fret of the G with the index finger. We're actually going to do that one twice. I like to give them a little bit of vibrato there. Now we change that last note from a 5 on the G to a 7, and you can use your 3rd finger flat here, or you can use your pinky. I like to use my pinky because it means I can keep it. If you do the bar with the 3rd finger, you might feel like you catch a little bit of the 7 on the D, but you can get better at doing it like that. I just prefer to use another finger. So after we've done that change, we then alternate between the 5 and the 7, like this. 5, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5. So it just goes back and forth a couple times. After that final one on the 5, you do the chromatic notes again, and then we have a different ending. So after the 5, 6, 7 on the D, you're going to come to the 5th fret of the A, 3rd finger, then the 3rd fret, and then the 4th fret. Hit the 5 on the E string, the note A, and then slide down to 2nd fret, F sharp. Now we go back to the lick that we opened the solo on, which is cool, and it does repeat 3 more times. After the 3rd repeat of that opening lick, we go to the 4th fret of the A, 3rd finger, and then we go to the 2nd fret of the D with the index finger. And then after that, you've just got exactly what you just did before. Same again. So all we've added is the 4 on the A and the 2 on the D, C sharp and E, and then we've got that chromatic little descending pattern. We're almost there, we're getting so close to the end. It's exciting that you're going to have another tune in the bag. Next little lick goes like this. Again, the opening lick, something you already know. Instead of going up to the 5th fret of the E after that 6, we're not. We're going to go from the 6 to the 10th fret of the B, like that. Slide in quickly with the 3rd finger. The reason is I can hear this slide up, and then we're going to the 15th fret again, so we might as well be efficient with our movement. We're chromatically going to ascend to the 15 from the 13 on the B string. So that was 13, 14, and I use index, 2nd finger, and then we're going to take the 15th fret and bend it up, and we're going to choke it with our pick, and then bring it down, do the same thing again. After you've done that twice, you're going to do this. So it's like the lick we did before, where we go down to the 14 on the G, but we get rid of the 14 and we play the 15 on the B again instead. So instead of going like this, we're going to replace that 14 on the G with another 15 on the B just before the bend again. Then we hit the 14 on the G again, and then we take the 13 on the B, give it one last cheeky little push. Now, really cool little lick. take the 10th fret of the B with the index finger, and then the 13th fret of the B with the third finger, and we're going to bend it up and down. And after you let it down, you're going to hit the 10 again on the B. And here you can bend it a whole step if you want, but you can also bend it a tone and a half, which Jimmy likes to do, and it actually bends it all the way up to blues note, which is a really cool thing to end on. Slide down, and then we can play a D sus4, followed by a D. And if you want to end right there, you can do something like that. Ooh, ooh, I can hear you scathing. What about the bit that goes into the solo? Yeah, I forgot. So the bit that opens the whole solo up sounds like it's played with a slide. If you want to do it with fingers, you could play it like this. Open E, and then just kind of quickly slide towards the 3rd fret. But it doesn't really matter where you land. You can even go beyond it like I'm doing there. Then hit the open A, go up to the 4th fret, and then hit the open A again. Then you hit the 2nd fret of the E, the F sharp, and then the open E. Was a whopper, wasn't it? Oof. I'm a bit frazzled, not gonna lie. Woo. I hope you enjoyed it anyway. It's a fun tune. Very, very fiddly solo, very angular, as to be expected with Jimmy, but I think we did it justice. I do like to keep my videos similar to the way I teach in real life. I am aware sometimes, you know, a couple of repetitions people might get stressed out, but I think it's good to just hear things a couple of times. Repetition is key. So if you liked this video and you got a little bit of headroom left, you're still hungry for a few more licks, consider checking out my Break Out the Box video, which I uploaded recently. It's a really cool video and it'll teach you even more tasty licks. And as always, tabs are on my Patreon if you want to check that out. I'd appreciate the support. Don't forget to check me out on Instagram. Drop a like on this video if you're into that kind of thing. I think you are. Hit subscribe if you haven't done already, and I will see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves, guys. Throttle it, you gotta get stuck in. Oh, I've strained my neck. Oh, because I made that Deirdre Rashid neck from Coronation Street. Do you remember that? Oh, I'll be out of action now for about 2 weeks. Oh well, just have to have another beer.